Welcome,
Hello,
everyone.
hello, welcome
Hello.
everyone.
So good to be here. So we had this idea with Maureen. She was telling me about, I've studied family constellations with Maureen, and we've been friends, and I've also experienced her endobiology work, which is amazing. And we were chatting the other day, and she was telling me about the nervous system and how we don't absorb our supplements, and we can't really be the foundation for health. Like if we don't feel safe, then the rest doesn't work. And I was like, we have to share this with women. We have to talk about this. So that's what prompted this little discussion, this webinar, was this, for her to share more about the nervous system, family constellations, and endobiogeny, because we can't separate our mental, emotional, and physical health and what came before us. If our system, there was no safety in our system, and we're always in fight or flight, it's very hard as women for our hormones to be working properly. So we're going to dive into that. So that's my little why we're here.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Nina. And I know I just hosted also another one, this week, all about the nervous system. But with Nina, there is always that wonderful dynamic between the two of us, like where she just keep asking the right questions. So I'm also very excited, like to show another angle, like because I mean, I could talk about it for hours, like let's just be clear here, like it's an endless, conversation. But my goal, my purpose right now with my practice as a woman as well is to help as many women as possible without overwhelming you, because I know we are busy, like juggling between children, career, husband, like wife, like parents, sick parents, like moving, finance. So yeah, if I can bring my own 2 cents with more simplicity, I would say, like, because I don't think we need to overcomplicate actually medicine and how to take care of ourselves. And there is way too much information out there. Like, it's great, but it's also overwhelming. And at the end of the day, you're just paralyzed because you don't know what to do at the end. You're like, okay, but what do I do with all of that?
Mm.
So hopefully today you will enjoy our conversation with Nina. Thank you so
So
much
let's
for
actually
being here.
start there because I'm exactly at that point. I've been vegetarian. I've been, tried the keto diets. I've tried lectin free for several years. And no, literally, I'm so confused. You read about plant-based being good for the heart and cancer prevention, and then everybody's obsessed now with protein. Everything is about protein. So can you explain to us, like, how do we know what to do? What is endobiogeny? And where are you with this approach that you've studied, that you're now offering with women? How do you help them find simplicity and figure out how to tune in to what they need?
So it's a few questions here. So I'm
Yeah.
going to answer one after one. But basically, my approach, as well as with endobiogeny, it's to go back to the basics. Like you just said, Nina, keto diet, plant-based, like no protein, Ayurvedic also, like it's too much, like, but at the end of the day, your body knows. The issue here is that most of the time we are disconnected from it. That's the first thing first. We don't know what we need, so we are just going to copy, like, okay, she's doing this, he's doing that, like, I guess it's working for her, it's working for him, so why not, like, for me? But the thing is, we are all different. So I always say, just go back to the basics, okay? Endobiogeny in a nutshell, okay? Because I don't want, again, to give too much information about that. It's a integrative functional medicine. It's been 40, 50 years, okay? It was developed by a French doctor, Dr. Christian Durafour, and it is based on understanding each patient's individual terrain, integrating the two key systems of your entire life. Those two systems are the most important of your life: the endocrine system Okay, so it's your hormones. Okay, and this is the body's main regulator. And then I would say the right hand, okay, of the endocrine system is the nervous system. And the goal of endobiogeny is to understand how your body's self-regulation and self-repair mechanism works, and how to support actually your organism toward, like finding back your balance. And that's true with endobiogeny. We use most of the time medicinal plants. But what we also use at first, it's your lifestyle. It's the way you eat. It's the way you sleep. It's the way you exercise. Are you staying day after day sitting, eating garbage, watching TV? I mean, I can give you some plants. I can give you some supplements. You're going to lose money. Let me be clear here. Like Nina was saying earlier on, your nervous system is going to accept or not what you are going to give it to your body and your nervous system and your endocrine system, but is only going to accept it fully and use it fully if you're also doing the work, meaning feeling safe, not rushing, like the process of eating, knowing what you need, and understanding that our body is constantly adapting. So stress is not a problem. It's when you have chronic stress. And the disease of that century is most of us are stuck in a survival mode, the alpha mode, the hyper vigilant, like the on edge, like the always like looking at, okay, I should do this, I should do that, like in this and that. So we help restore your own balance based on your own life. It's a very customized, like bespoke approach, like it's like I am different, Nina is different, Patricia is different, like it's like we all have our background and we are trying our best to look at everything. It's a global medicine. Then Nina, your other question, I hope I answered everything.
I think you answered it, yeah, because it's
Okay.
customized. So basically there's no one way of eating. I think of a lot of this is very much marketing and it's like, well, everybody should eat this way, but and especially for women, even with intermittent fasting, like depending if you're in perimenopause or if you're in menopause or like if you're pregnant, I mean, all these things are going to change. You can't just have one size fits all
No,
for food.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Naz, that question was great. So I'm going to circle back on that one. When you are pregnant, you don't fast.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like you need to nourish your baby, like your baby.
But even like woman versus man, right? Because I mean, I did that for a while, the 16-hour fasting, and then I was drinking coffee and I just like, I think I burned through my adrenals. I just, doing that. And it might work better for men. I mean, again, not to
Yeah.
generalize even, but
No,
I
but
think,
you are right to say that because just men and women, I mean, men are very consistent, like in terms of hormones. They do have hormones, okay? Like the
yeah,
main one is testosterone, and then, but they also have estrogen and progesterone, okay? But they are very much more consistent, okay? Women, our entire life is a cycle.
yeah,
I mean, we have our period. It's the first 4 or 5 days, like of our, cycle. And then it's ovulation, where we are going normally to be horny, because being horny is being healthy, okay? Never forget about that, woman, okay? And then, it's going to be the luteal phase, like where we need, like more inward work, like and taking care of ourselves, like being like a cocoon. And what I say, but then again, maybe it works for you. Usually fasting at the end of your cycle, before your period, is not recommended. Okay? That's what it is. But again, you do whatever you want. But for example, what Nina did, fasting 16 hours. Can I take you as an example, Nina? Because you just shared, okay? And because a few of my clients also do the same. What do you eat at first in the morning, oh, coffee. My coffee, just like coffee. Like, so let me tell you something. Why do we wake up in the morning and why we do not actually? Because sometimes, you know, like it's hard to wake up. It is thanks to our cortisol, okay? Our cortisol is also great for us in order to wake up. It is not great for us again when it's a constant, you know, like cortisol level, but we will go back to that later on. So your energy is already high. You don't need coffee on an empty stomach. You're just going to shock your body, you know, like even more. And here you get like a spike of like, oh my God, I'm in danger. Like she needs more, you know, like she needs more adrenaline, you know, like she needs more fighting, you know, like, okay, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. And then what happens? Because when we do too much cortisol, we have that lovely belly fat. Like we exercise great, we eat healthy, we do everything, but we have that stubborn, you know, like belly fat around our hips, you know, like around our stomach. And we're like, but what's wrong with me? You know, like, and it's not about doing more abs. It's not about, you know, like eating more salad, you know, like and broccoli. It's just releasing that cortisol spike. So in the morning, the first thing that I love, it's bone broth. It's warm, it's nice. It can also be warm water. It can also be like a spearmint tea, you know, like, but just like be gentle. Why do you want to attack yourself right away? Because so I just want to say that. And then, I mean, there is that protein, you know, like again, like it's always so extreme, you know, like now it's like you have to, but that's true that after 35, because that's a perimenopause, you know, and then the menopause, our muscles, you know, like are losing, you know, their strength. So eating proteins, it's very important, especially to women. Because the more muscles we have, the less fat we are going to store. And with menopause, because estrogen and progesterone are very minimum and testosterone, you know, like goes back, as well as our adrenal system, because that's a system that will take the lead for the rest of your life. And adrenal system is all about belonging and safety. So of course, most of us women, finally we got teenager, you know, children, but also having new babies, you know, because now more women have babies after 40, you know, like, so we are depleted, we are tired, and our adrenal system is already also completely depleted. So we cannot embrace that transition, I would say, with less pain and challenges, because our adrenal system is already completely, you know, like, what are you asking more? You know what, like, I cannot give it more. So yeah.
How can we nourish the adrenal system?
Alors, first of all, am I safe? The nervous system is highly connected with your adrenal system, okay? The nervous system is always asking, am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? And the adrenal system is all about safety and belonging. Again, I'm gonna connect it with family constellations because it's also our thing. I always, you know, the first time I meet a new client, did you feel safe as a child? Were your parents safe? Any stories of trauma, war, immigration, you know, like feeling unsafe? And especially during that period, you know, like from 7 years old, 9 to 13 years old, okay? That period of time, let's put it 7 to 13, okay? Mm-hmm. It's when our adrenal system fully develops. After that, it's a gonado axis, you know, so it's all about ovaries and testicles, you know, like, and sexual hormones. And I'm not, again, you don't need to know everything, but just for you know, when we are born, it's the adrenal system for 1 year, okay, like safety and everything. After, it's our thyroid system. The thyroid system is our immune system. So whoever were, had a lot of disease, like from the age of, again, 1, 2-ish, okay, until 7-ish, your thyroid system was compromised. So your immune system as an adult as well can be compromised. I'm just sharing this with you because there is also our thyroid issue, hypo and hyper, and Hashimoto's and everything. But my recommendation is also look at your childhood, because your entire thyroid system, again, did develop, in your childhood before 6 years old. So of course, if you have always been sick, my mother, for example, she doesn't have an immune system. And guess what? She has a hypothyroid. But she only learned about that at 58 years old. And the doctor say, oh, you don't have immune system. And my mom was like, okay. Like, okay, not even asking questions. And finally, when I went back to school, she was like, I don't have an immune system. I'm like, yes, mom, it's your thyroid. The thyroid is your immune system, period. And then it's your adrenal system. So from 7 to 13, just look at anything happened. A divorce, maybe dad left, maybe mom left, maybe one of your siblings became sick. You know what, like maybe also like you had to flee your country. But look at that, because you can already work with that little girl or with that little boy, and reinforcing your adrenal system. Because you do know, long story short, because again, it's not about family constellations, but by acknowledging, by recognizing, like any events, any situations, we empower ourselves again. So that's the first thing first, okay? Like, what happened to me from 7 to 13? And do I need to do any healing, any recognition? Then after that, I know that's a quick tool, but every morning I make a fist, with my hands. The adrenal system is where your kidneys are, and you can just also tap, like behind you. It's like kind of like mid lower back, like just right, I would say maybe a few fingers under your bra, like you can feel them, like I cannot show it, but if you type on Google, you will see them, like, so just tapping, like it's always good. I mean, it's always good every morning to activate your lymph system, like to always, like do that, because it helps the body, to detoxify and everything. I have been doing it for the past few months, and I do feel actually that's true, less stressed, or anxious, or if I am stressed, which is again completely normal, I readapt more quickly. Because that's also the thing, like you cannot avoid, like stressful situations, but you cannot stay in that mode all day long. Okay? Like again, like you have the parasympathetic, which is all about digestion and restoring and sleeping and feeling relaxed. Okay? And then you have the alpha and the beta. Alpha, it's a hypervigilance, overwhelming thoughts, like overthinking without even taking actions, anxious, insomnia, and beta, finally, it's the action, okay? But it's also, it can be a burst of anger, like, or it can be violent, like, or just being very aggressive, like, but you have to always do a loop between the three sympathetic, states, like, we are made of those three. That's how the nervous system, works with it. And then adrenal system, I mean love veggies. I'm not gonna tell you anything new here. You have to have veggies every day. The green, the red, the orange, the yellow. Like, have fun with it. Have fun with it, okay? Like, it's very, very important. You also need to have that sense of belonging. Again, I would say it's also connected to your childhood, like how you have been feeling with mom and dad, with your family. Do you feel loved? Do you have love, like around you? If you are, because you're like, yeah, I'm single. Being single does not mean you're loved, like also just the loving yourself, like just taking care of yourself. Because again, adrenal system, the first thing is a fatigue. When you have that fatigue, and you're like, oh my God, I don't know, I cannot wake up this morning, like, and in the afternoon, you have that big crash as well. And then it's sugar, regulating the blood sugar. I mean, so many people right now have insulin resistance, like diabetes. We eat way too much sugar without even knowing about it. Because unfortunately, that's true. You know what? Like we destroyed our food. I mean, let's be honest here. You know what? Like, I'm not gonna lie. I don't think it's helpful. Like, that's why actually I think now there is that new movement of having more community and regenerative farms and everything. So I think we're finally awakening. And being like, okay, I think it got to stop. But we need to pay attention with inflammation and sugar. So I'm French. I love pleasure, you know what? Like, I think, like it's also part of life. But rather than buying a cake, like at a grocery store, make it. Make it on a Sunday with your children. Have fun. At least, you know what? You can know, okay, it's better to put coconut sugar or even just bananas. Bananas are enough. You know what? Like, they are so sugarish now. Like, it's insane, like, or apple, like, or applesauce. But I would say having that pleasure to go back to the kitchen. And I know, again, I have also clients, Marine, my kids are under 5, I don't have time. I understand. But on a Sunday afternoon, you can also ask your husband, okay, or maybe your friend, if really you just want to be on your own. I'm just going to cut my veggies. I'm maybe going to make a cake, like, so then the kids will have something, like for a snack. And I'm gonna know, what I'm gonna make, chicken, sausage, white fish, and everything. Because I also think when you put yourself into that, organizing at first will tremendously help you to not be overwhelmed, like you can cook some quinoa, like, and you can make a quinoa salad, like, or quinoa with veg, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I think it's also creating healthy routine, well-being routine, selfish love routine. That's how I call it, like, it's for me. And always asking that question, how much do I want to feel good? Because yes, sometimes it's easier, to grab like a bag of chips, and just eat like that, but you're not gonna feel good. You're not. So it's also loving yourself, choosing yourself. And I am all about the rule 80-20. 80% of the time eating healthy, working out, and 20% just enjoying life as well, because also life is short.
Thank you. I'm inspired to go make a cake.
Here it is. Yeah, with your daughters, like, I think it's cool,
Yeah.
children love cooking. And
They
I know
do.
I got to my nephew, like, of course it's for children, like, but to cook with his mom, and he loves it.
Yeah.
They want to help, like, they don't need to watch TV. Just give them the green beans, like, or I don't know, the little bit. It's okay. Even so, it's going to be a bit messy. They're going to have fun, to cut the tomatoes, like, to understand, like, you are nourishing yourself. And nourishing yourself is love. I'm sorry, but you got the choice to choose, do I love myself or do I hate myself? Am I a garbage? Is my body a garbage? Every time I'm like, oh, come on. No, I'm like, am I a garbage? No, I don't think so. I will do the healthy way, like, because you have healthier chocolate, healthier pasta, like, but just ask yourself, do I really hate myself that much?
So that brings me actually to my next question, where I feel sometimes we're carrying heavy baggage from our lineage, from the ancestral patterns. And I feel these can play a big role actually in what you're just describing, of smoking, drinking, addictions, eating unhealthy. So, how do you help clients with that? Because it's a big piece to figure out how to love yourself and to separate what's yours.
And that's why I love endobiogeny for that, because we're not going to focus on the symptoms, we're just going to focus on the root of it and understand your entire life. It's not only about food, it's not only about, like, I cannot get pregnant, like, or I have insulin resistance. It's like, okay, what happened before, like, because you just have to remember one thing, your body is not against you. It's not. When I learned about our body's function, I was just amazed. I was like, wow, 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 wow. We, all of our organs, they're also detoxifying and draining, you know, like, and giving us exactly what we need. Our only job is to give us the best from food, and I would say stress level, you know, and emotional level, okay? Like, that's our only job. The rest, our liver, pancreas, lungs, intestines, you know, like ovaries, everything, they're just gonna take care of it. Kidneys, they just need to be seen and taken care of. I mean, it's wonderful. Honestly, like, it's amazing. But however, how, of course, you know, like, we are going to establish that relationship with ourselves, again, we go back to our childhood. We go back to our parents. That's when, you know, like, we are going to witness, you know, the relationship between our parents and food, between our parents and their body. I mean, did your mother always tell you, be careful, you're gonna get fat, you know what, like, stop eating that? Or like, empty your plate. You know, like, kids, some kids, you know, don't have food, you know, like, so you have to finish it. Or also, oh, you're sad, sweetie, here, there is a cookie. All of that, yeah. But that's what we reduce those patterns as an adult. I know it, you know, like, and the children who were breastfed, like me, the milk, you know, the mommy's milk is very sweet, you know, it's the best one in the world, but it's very, very sweet. So we have that sweet tooth as well. And me, every time I was crying, my mom was just giving me, you know, like, the boobs, you know, like, so then I was like, okay, everyone, I'm gonna cry. Every time I'm gonna cry, I want a cookie. But then, you know, the cookie, it's going to get stored, you know, like, in my belly, which I'm not going to be a big fan of it. So we need also, like, to readapt and build that emotional belonging, emotional safety that maybe our parents did the best, but it's never 100% amazing. As an adult, it's also our job to shelter, you know, that inner child, you know, like, and to give our inner child what we missed. Because again, our parents, they were not us. They tried their best, okay? Like, really, they really tried, you know, okay. But then it's on us to really be like, okay, I need to feel more loved, because otherwise I'm going to drink too much because I have that emptiness, or I'm going to binge eating, you know, like, because I feel so lonely. But by doing that, you are repressing what your body is trying to tell you. Because again, your body, the first thing your body wants for you is to survive. That's it. That's it. So that's why when you're not going to eat enough, your body is going to store at some point. It's those famous, I mean, my aunt was obsessed with it in the 90s. The pineapple diet, the apple diet, you know, like, all of those great diets, you know, losing 20 pounds, you know, like, in 2 weeks. Of course, you're not gonna eat anything. And then I was seeing my aunt getting back to 20 more pounds, you know what? Like, and being like, what's going on? What's wrong? You know, my body, like, it does not listen to me. But of course, it's not gonna listen to you. You are not actually taking care of it. So your body is like, okay, I'm starving. So as soon as she's gonna give me food, I'm gonna keep the food, guys. And so finally, when you pause for a minute, and you know what? You don't even need a therapist to do that part, you know, of the healing, by just asking yourself, what happened in my childhood? About my body, about love, about confidence, about safety. This, you can do it on your own. And then, of course, if you feel like, oh wow, it's a lot, you know what, to take in, here you can always, you know, like, look for a therapist and everything, but you can do that on your own. It's just like looking at yourself. And I don't think, you know, we have been doing it, to be honest. To really take that time to pause and to breathe and to rest. I think we we're not doing it. And of course we say it's society, it's my children, it's my husband, it's my parents, you know, like, yeah, maybe. I'm not saying, you know, it's easy, but I also think we still have the choice. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
And to my very busy, overwhelmed mom, I would say, listen, just start with 5 minutes. 5 minutes per day. 5 minutes. If you don't have 5 minutes per day for you, you don't have a life. I'm sorry. And you're also resisting, because that's your own resistance here. If you cannot lean on your husband, if you cannot lean, you know, like, that's you. You want to control. That's your problem here. You want to be, you know, seen as, oh my God, like such a martyr, such a victim, but she's still doing it. I mean, you also choose, you know, which side you want to be on. But you don't need to suffer that much. That's what I think.
Mm. So with, yeah, these, so a lot of people, women, I think that's, you know, our audience today and your audience.
Yes.
So a lot of women, what patterns do you commonly see in the women that you work with when they are, and I'll say we, in a state of chronic stress or hypervigilance? Like what are you seeing hormonally, or what are you seeing as symptoms?
Fatigue. Fatigue is the first. I'm fatigued. When I wake up, even after 8 hours of sleep, I'm fatigued. It's a low cortisol, you know, like it's like your
Mhm.
body does not have, because you have been pumping way too much, you know, like, so now your body is like, we cannot do it anymore. So fatigue, bloating, digestive issues, you know, like whatever you eat, you know, like you're feeling, you know, like, oh my God. And just know one thing, you know, the serotonin, the bliss hormone, it's only produced 5% from your brain. You know where the 95% are?
In the gut?
Yeah, in the gut. So you better eat healthy.
Mhm.
You better take care of your gut, your GI, because that's where it is. That happiness, that bliss hormones, you know, the dopamine is a quick fix, you know, like it's a result. But the serotonin that you're looking for, it's in your gut. Just so, of course, you know, like digestive issues, mommy is already completely stressed out. Serotonin is not even here, you know, like anymore. Low libido. Again, earlier on, I was saying being horny is healthy. And that's true, you know, like, because it means your hormones are working, you know, like, because again, I mean, I'm not going, I can share, like, so I don't take any contraceptive, you know, like no birth. I was under birth control pill from 16 to 34. And then I had that huge, you know, like urge to stop, you know, my body was like, stop, stop, stop. So I listened to my body because I'm very attuned to my body. That's true. I do not regret of taking my birth control at the age of 16 for the simple reasons that I did not know my body. And I just wanted to please my boyfriend. So, you know, like that thing, like, oh no, let's not use condom and everything. Like, yeah, sure, you know, like, why not? You know, like, but it's us, it's on us, you know, the abortion. It's on us, the miscarriage, you know, it's on us, that pain. So I don't regret it at all. But I wish I could have had more than 1 hour, you know, science class, you know, like about putting a condom on a banana, which, okay, well, that's great. But just tell me, how does it work? You know, because honestly, I'm going to say it. While I was on birth control, I thought my period was the end of my cycle. Well, actually, it's the beginning of your cycle. I mean, just understanding that, I was like, and I know I'm not the only one, you know, I'm just sharing because there is no shame, you know, like, I think, like, we don't know anything about us. Honestly, I was clueless about my ovulation, different cycles, you know, follicular cycle, ovulation, luteal phase, you know, like also adapting the food that you eat, you know, like more carbs, less carbs, exercising out and everything. And now, so it's been 6 years, yes, 6 years now that I'm off the pill. First of all, I can deeply feel my body, and trust me, right after my period, I mean, it's a joke with my girlfriend, I could have sex with anyone. Like, I mean, just like, give me something, you know, like, give me someone. Because yes, I'm feeling horny, but that's your body knowing that you're going to ovulate. And the primary function of ovulation is to have a baby. Huh? You know what? Like, let's be clear here. So of course the body is gonna be like, okay, she needs to make love. You know, she needs to have sex. You know, and then that last luteal phase, 10, 12 days. You know, now it's even more for women with the lack of progesterone, which creates, you know, like more brutal PMDD or PMS. You know, like insomnia, mood swings. You know, like depression and everything. Again, it's part of our society, unfortunately. But at that moment, your body is thinking she might be pregnant. She might. So that's why we have those cravings of sugar and carbs. It's to give the fat to the baby. In a nutshell. So I know, like, my last 3 days, I know I'm gonna eat the bread. And I'm not gonna feel guilty because my body is still like, maybe you have a baby, so we need, you know, like to store, you know, a few things. And then when the period arrives, you know, like normally it's like, no, I don't want to eat. I mean, I don't want to eat anymore. You understand what I mean? But you don't have any more craving. That's how the body is smart. So just by knowing and understanding all of that, I think you are feeling less clueless, you know, like because through understanding there is power. And so yeah, so going back to my girl, sorry about that. I did like a big, you know, like, but the adrenal system is fatigue, it's digestive issues, it's low libido, it's a feeling of depression, you know, of like, nah, you know, like not feeling excited, you know, like about anything. And on the blood test, most of the time, it's a lack of iron. Again, this is very general, okay? Like, so don't look at it and be like, oh my God, you know, this is what's going on. I don't know your case, okay? Like, but lack of iron, low progesterone, starting day 20 or day 21. Usually it should be at 15 minimum, okay? Vitamin D is also very low. TSH, T3, T4, it's a thyroid. Okay, like it's all of those hormones, you know, like, so of course, you know, if they are low, you are going to be depleted, you're going to be fatigued. And what I see the most, honestly, with all of my, I mean, I only work with female clients, it's a body that is completely drained, that is basically just surviving, you know, like just like, give me something. So yeah.
Yeah, it's challenging. I think the rhythm of our lives has just exponentially accelerated, and I feel our bodies are not they're not keeping up. I mean, in a
No,
good, it's good that
no,
they're not keeping up because they're not supposed to, but we're trying to
exactly.
accelerate.
And thank you so much for highlighting that because our nervous system is not broken, but our nervous system has never changed. We are trying to make our nervous system change, but it's not going to change. Our society has changed, our environment has changed, but the nervous system, your body, like Nina
Yeah.
just said, it's going to be the same. So we can do whatever we want. It's not going to adapt to that craziness. And if it does, here, no more iron, no more hormones, you know, like infertility, a lot, you know, like disease, cancer, you know, like breaking bones, like, I mean, it's just awful because your body is like, I mean, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm not going to be part of it. Basically, it's that. And that's why now, I mean, more and more, that's true. Any doctors, you know, like for women especially, I mean, there is the supplements that you have to take for your entire life. Vitamin D, magnesium, because the magnesium is the first mineral, you know, to be lost, you know, with adrenal fatigue and adrenal stress. So magnesium, vitamin D, magnesium, omega-3, you know, like for a dry skin, you know, and everything. There is also evening primrose for the skin quality, but also night sweat and hot flashes. There is sometimes iron, you know, like if you're deficient. So because even the foods that we eat is not enough anymore, which is dramatic, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In your approach with your clients, you know, when someone comes with a chronic condition, you know, we all a pain point, right? Do you work simultaneously with the family system, childhood, and the physical body? Do you do both, or do you do one and then the other one?
No, so I do both, Nina, because I think we need both no matter what. You know what, like that's what I created with her healing program, which is a 3 months program where I really merge, endobiogeny and family constellation together, because I would say family constellation is taking care of the nervous system, like just to to roughly, like and vulgarly, summarize. And endobiogeny is more here for the endocrine system, like, and rebalancing, your terrain. um but for me, it's really like that gut and brain axis, like we need both, like, I mean, there is that amazing book, Change Your Mind, Change Your Brain, Change Your Mind, Change Your Diet,
Hmm.
by Georgie. I love
Yes,
her book.
yeah, I
I
have
love
that
that
one.
woman, because we are finally also seeing, like, if your gut health is not adequate, like your brain is going to suffer, and you're going to have more anxiety and more depression, and also then there is Alzheimer, degenerative, like disease. So for me, it's fascinating, because I want to give back your power to understand yourself. Because what I really want to create with you, it's not only a 3 months, like, okay, I work with Marie. No, 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 no. For your entire life, I want you to commit to that, and not being clueless in front of your doctor, and knowing what you need. Because especially as a woman, I'm sorry, but most of the time, now it's big in perimenopause, you know what? Like, but before we were just treating depression.
Mm.
It has nothing to do with depression. If my estrogen is low and progesterone is also low, yes, I'm going to feel depressed, but it's not depression, it's a lack of my hormones. So now, you know what, there is that extreme, like uh, joy and everything, but that's what it is. We are not heard. Neither in our pain as endometriosis, or fibroids, even being pregnant, like, and I think we really need to understand a few more things about ourselves.
Mm.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
What are your thoughts on that, on taking hormones, or are there ways to do that with food and with stress reduction and for
Listen,
perimenopause or menopause, for
um,
example?
I'm gonna tell you what my endobiogenist told me when I was 35. When I met her the first time, she was like, you know what, Maureen, you're doing a great job to start now, because in 10 years from now, you might suffer less or not even suffering at all. Knocking on wood, okay? My suggestion is to really start as early as possible, even perimenopause or not, like even in your 20s, just to understand your body, like just to see if everything is good. Endobiogeny, most of the time, it's twice a year. Like it's every 6 months, you do a new blood panel, we see where you are, and you're good to go, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's going to be every 3 months, of course, there is a chronic disease and everything, but it's another story here.
Mm.
But I am for HRT, bioidentical, HRT, because I've suffered a lot from my hormones. I'm very sensitive to hormones. And at 35, when my endocrinologist was like, well, maybe it's also some perimenopause, I was like, what? I'm 35. I'm young. Like, what are you telling me? Like, I was like, really? Like, which is like, it has nothing to do with you. Like, you are young and you will be very young again and again, but that's how your body is just readapting, like, because ovulating also every month, it's exhausting for a woman. We do it every month, because this is our body. But that menopause phase, as well, that we're also scared, actually, it's finally we're keeping the blood for ourselves, baby. That's all about me. And the truth is, we're actually becoming more mannish in a way in terms of hormones and everything. So that's why sometimes our waist, can just become a little bit, thicker, like, but we're just saying no. That's why, it's like, what's going on with you? I mean, no, thanks, sweetie. Now it's about me, myself, and I, like, so I don't see it as a condemnation, and everything, but I think we need to be and feel supported. Because, of course, but it's the same things that happen to us around 12, 13 years old when we got our period at first. And it lasted because that adaptation of our body, it's from our first months to 20-ish. So it's kind of like, again, 8, 10 years, for our life, which is exactly gonna happen 35 years, more or less, like 8, 10 years, like so. But of course, as a younger self, we don't have the kids to take care of. We're just going to piss off our parents, like with our outbursts, like of everything. And we think it's normal because, of course, there is that youth. But then, it's like, well, finally women are just taking back their power. Oh, no, we're not interested in that. Oh, but no, if they're taking back their power, we're just going to tell them, oh, you're unfuckable, you are old. I mean, go to garbage. That's it. So don't fall, okay? It's just a trap, you know what? Like, but I think, and so many women right now are showing, that, you can be sexy and beautiful and intelligent, and full of power, like at any ages. So whatever you need, whatever works for you, if I need at some point to be on HRT, I will. And hopefully my body will accept it, because then also there is always like, is my body going to be okay with it? But it saved so many women. Because there is, no matter what, the cardiovascular, disease, it's true too, like there is also a few things, that our body unfortunately is going to be less protective of, like osteoporosis, bone density and everything. So the lifestyle, I would say, is 60%, 70%. Straight training, eating well, like, and all of that, that's true, what? And then the rest, plants, HRT, if you feel like it, like, yeah.
Thank you. You answered a lot of the questions I had.
Thank you, Nina. If anyone has any questions, you can
Yeah,
feel
maybe
free
we
to type
can,
on the
if
chat,
anybody has
like,
some
or
questions.
if you would like, or Nina and I, we can still keep talking, for the next 15 minutes. But if you have any questions or any insights, feel free, of course, like to go. Otherwise, we will keep talking with Nina. But yeah, but I have a question for you. Like, how are you feeling, Nina, right now? Like as a woman, like with 2 teenagers, like, because like me, I'm a single woman with no children, like, so it's also different, like my life, I have more time for me. So what helps you, Nina? What, like, to yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. I find it hard. Like I still haven't figured out how to incorporate, or it's funny, it's not figured out. It's like you said, it's also like I know I want to be doing weights and just
Yeah.
work, and I just can't motivate myself. I'm like, I just can't. I'd rather read. I'd rather, like, for me, silence is so valuable that when the girls are at school, so I'm either working, but then I have like a moment, an hour, half an hour of silence. And I just, yeah, like that's my medicine, is just to be in silence and read and drink tea and just I really need it. And without that, I think I definitely feel like I literally can feel my adrenals. I stopped drinking coffee a few days ago because I know it was just not, it was just too much. Like I was feeling it. So my yeah, I'm trying to cut that out and nourish myself with herbal tea. So that's and I do feel
Nice.
better. It's been like 3 4 days, and
Yeah.
so simple. I guess that's what I'm noticing is like simple small steps, because if I ask myself like a huge big change, it's just not going to work.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work, Nina. And thank you so much for saying that, because it's not about looking at the big picture and have a drastic change. You are never going to commit to it. Never. I prefer, like you say right now, Nina, your thing is to read a book, have a cup of tea, like you stop drinking coffee. If you really want to keep drinking coffee, it's after having your breakfast, okay? Like on a full stomach. That's how, and a very good one, organic, like whatever, okay? But by just acknowledging, like, this is what I need. You know what? I need that time for me to read my book and just silence, and quietly. And then, like, what I love about that after COVID was all of those new working out platform, like now you can just do, and you have platform with just 10 minutes class per day. which is nothing, so that's where you can start. You can also just go on YouTube for free content, like, I mean, it's also like, like if really you don't want to financially commit at first, but I think there is always a way to find something, like you can be like, you know what, like, yeah, let me start 10 minutes, what I know. And then me, I have to say, sometimes I don't want to work out.
Mhm.
But the feelings that I have after, I know about it because I felt it multiple times. So that's what keeps me going when I don't have motivation. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's all, like, and again, I think when you want to work out again, I would always say do at first something that is fun for you. Have a walk. You know what? Like, if walking is your thing, just have a walk. And who knows, maybe at some point you can just have ankle weight, okay? Or just like take 2 pounds weights, like, and just walk with that, like, or maybe for you it's Zumba, like, or tennis. But I would say go at first with what is going to bring you the most excitement and joy. And then after that, because again, that's true, strength training, yes, especially after 45, twice, 3 times a week, like, because again, but it's up to you. It's always a choice, but if you want to keep your body, like healthy, and strong, like, and helping you, it's gonna be important. It's gonna be important. Everything. And also to not store that fat, like, because that's what also is gonna happen. Céline Roy in France is very good. I really love her.
Mm.
ROY. I really love her technique. And it's a woman, she's 52. So trust me, when you look at her belly, you're like, I want that. That's perfect. I want that. That's okay. So yeah, because there is also, I think, like in your 20s, it's easy to be like, hey, I'm hot and sexy. Yes, really. Like, go back to 40, okay? We will have a talk. So I also love, matching the vibe, with a woman with whom I can identify myself, even so I have boobs, I have hips, like, so I will never be lean, never. And you also have to understand that about yourself. Because Melissa Wood, which I follow and I do also her
Mhm.
classes, she's a very lean woman and tall woman, even so I'm taller than her. And at some point, she was like, if you want the same body as me, you should do this. And I wrote a text. I was like, no. Because your body is your body. But my body will never look like that. Even if I stop eating, like, because I'm not lean at first. You don't have breasts. You don't have hips. You don't have butt. So you cannot say, yes, Stefania, you cannot say, like, if you want to look like me, because I'm not like you. Latino woman, Afro-American woman, white woman, Asian woman, like, we all age differently, and we all have a different body type. And also we have a chronotype that is different. So
Mm.
it's not about comparing, it's just about, this is my body. Are you more Monica Bellucci? Or, like Vanessa Paradis, like, and just do with it. And you are beautiful as you are. But just having that fun. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I would say, like, just be selfish, especially as a woman. We give so much. We give and give and give. And I have been embracing for the past 2 months, I would say, after a very challenging year, that selfish love era, like, you know what? I know who are my people. I know what I need to do. And I'm loving it. It's very new, okay? And sometimes it's like, really? I'm gonna say no, like, but yes, so really, like, just, it's a selfish love of taking care of yourself and knowing that you're worth it and you don't need to suffer, like, on your own, or pretend that I am so strong, that I can do it. That's okay. That's okay. Nina, would you like to add anything else?
Don't forget to turn within
Yeah.
because the body knows what it wants to eat, what nourishes it. the inner child is right there, and your guides, and the love you have for yourself. Like all of that is here. I feel we're so much in this like reaching out and wanting others to tell us, or at least I've been for talk for myself for 20 years, like searching in this yoga search, like I'm gonna get somewhere. I'm gonna find some universal truth. I'm finally going to find the right way of eating. And there's no such thing. And so I'd say come back to yourself, like to your nervous system, feel safe, find your belonging, and then from there make peace with your past, like look behind and accept what was in your family system. And by doing that, then you can, I'm going to say love yourself, but it's a journey of every day, right? It's not something we achieve and are done. It's just like the inner child work. It's every day, and eating healthy, it's a practice. It really is. So thank you for joining us today. It was really wonderful to be with you all. And we're here if you have questions or need support.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.